to Built Men. Good evening, everyone. Before we begin tonight's Built Men special presentation, we'd like to thank our broadcast partner, WCEG Media Enterprises. WCEG is the worldwide community empowerment group, where the mission is to speak life into the community. You can visit WCEG Talk Radio and connect with WCEG on Roku, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Fanbase, Twitch, Blue Sky, and additional WCEG platforms. Please search for WCEG. Subscribe, follow, and share. Download the WCEG mobile app or simply say, Alexa, play WCEG Talk Radio. The opinions expressed during tonight's broadcast belong to the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of WCEG Media Enterprises. Thank you, WCEG, for creating a platform where conversations like this can strengthen families and communities. Now, let's build. All right. Listen, I'm Roshown McLeod, and I'm really enjoying myself doing this Built Men broadcast. And tonight's broadcast will be one to remember because when I look on the screen, I don't really see guests. I see relationships, I see years, I see young Jacob walking into a high school gym, calling me a poser. I see Kishara helping me coach him, behind, he's and Kishara, as you guys know, has been one of my best friends for 35 years. I see his father, Tom, watching us coach his son. I see conversations happening between me and Tom as we're coaching, and he's asking, things about, my journey as a coach and what helped develop teams, and he's implementing those things into his business. I see disagreements between myself and Kishara throughout our lifetime. I see opportunities in front of Jacob that he was man enough to come and ask for. And we'll get into all of that as we, go through this conversation. I see lessons that probably made sense immediately and some that probably took years to make some sense. And now we see that same young man preparing to become a husband, which is amazing. I mean, I got the chills just saying that out loud because it's amazing, and he's doing it around my birthday, so I love that. But somewhere along the way, Tom and I became really good friends through this process. Then life did something real interesting. My son, who you guys have had a chance to meet, uh, worked for Tom, and Tom had a chance to mentor my son. So it became a full circle thing. Kashara had the opportunity to pour into Tom's son. Years later, Tom poured into mine, like I said, as we were pouring into his and helping him become a man. But that's also what Built Men is about. It's about developing young men to become better leaders for our community. Because not all fathers have the answers. No coach has all the answers. Obviously, no mentor has all the answers. But when you surround yourself with good men, you can all tap into each other's strengths and support the weaknesses to become a stronger community, which is what this broadcast is all about. And tonight, I don't want this to feel like an interview at all. I really want us to have a conversation. So we'll talk about topics, reminisce on some things. We've known each other that long to be able to. We've already had these conversations, but we're bringing it to you guys live, so you could see Built Men at its best, as I did with my previous guests. Um, some of the things that we're going to ask Jacob, throughout those years about how he was able to implement some of the things that we've gone through, what he completely ignored, which I'm sure it was a lot. We'll find out what Tom has been teaching at home, what Kashara and I tried to reinforce through basketball as Tom was trying to teach those things to Jacob. Those things are important. And mostly, we're going to talk about Jacob getting married and how he's preparing for that. So the young man who is listening to him will understand how to be successful and in this preparation to make sure that their households are great. Because at the end of the day, that's a different level of accountability when you're responsible for someone else. And tonight we're going to talk about it all. coaching, fatherhood, work, failure, marriage, friendship, mentorship, and the future. Tom and Jacob Kishara, let's have this conversation, man. This is going to be fun.
Let's
Uh,
do it.
so,
Absolutely.
so, so let's start here. Kashara, um, before we, like before you and I started to, you know, do this thing in coaching, like, what was it like when you decided to be my right hand and as a coach and as a friend? Like, tell us a little bit about what that was like.
Well, I mean, you stated that we have over 35 years of friendship, and we were fortunate enough to play on the same high school basketball team together. And through our friendships, and playing sports, not only for Coach Hurley, you and I shared a number of different, well, I should say we shared the same philosophy in regards to basketball. A number of the different things that Coach Hurley was able to pour in us, as well as our college coaches, using that as pretty much a support level, and using that as a baseline to not only help us on the basketball court, but off the court, dealing with, individuals, and then dealing with, the basketball ups and downs. And as time went along, I guess you and I just kind of, came together and thought that it would be best that we take the information and knowledge that we gained in high school and college, and then just being, adults, and passing it along to a number of these kids that were thirsty for leadership, thirsty for just being hungry for winning, us sharing a number of different stories and different ideas that would help them, again, not just on the basketball court but also off the basketball court. So I was definitely grateful for you bringing me on, and it was great because realistically, you and I didn't have to really prepare. We kind of knew what each other wanted, and we knew how to work off of each other, and then to take that information and relay it into the kids. It was easy. It was real easy. And to have someone such as Jacob, he was actually the first kid that I met that we coached. And from that particular point on, with Jacob, it was just an enjoyment because he was always willing to learn, as well as he kind of caught a little bit of our up north swagger and pushback or what have you, which
That's
was
why he moved
enjoyable.
up there, man. He moved up there. That's
Exactly, exactly. It was enjoyable to see a little bit of us kind of being poured into Jacob, and here and there he'll just kind of say something or do something, and we're looking like, whoa, okay, all right, that's cool.
so so before we let Jacob rewrite all of that, all of the stuff that that we just talked about. Jacob will give you a chance to defend yourself, and all that good stuff. But when you think about yourself as a kid, you know, um, how much of that information that you learned playing for myself and for Kashara, Coach K, as you called him, the fake Coach K. Like, what were you able to take from playing for us into where you are today?
I think, and it's first off just great to be here with you guys and see you guys again. And I think Kashar, it's probably been
It's been
10
a minute.
plus years.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely,
So,
definitely more. Yeah.
um, and I was just thinking back, like, I was probably 15 or 16 years old when I first met you guys. And,
Yeah.
um, thinking of like who I was then and what I've learned. I think what I learned from you guys is, um, the culture that you guys had created, with that team. And when I think of the group of guys we were with, I maybe knew a few of them, but hadn't really met any of them until we all got together. But the community and like this brotherhood that it created, where there's some guys I still keep in touch with today, but I do think like if I were to just be able to see them all again, it would almost be like I'd assume, get back together as if where we had left off. And I think to answer your question, like what I kind of learned from what you guys did is being a part of a team like that, where people are, holding you accountable to be the best person that we can be, but then they're also just supporting, the wins, but pushing you at the same time. And I think with where I work now, I can draw a lot of correlation to that. Where I think you guys should. Hey, if you're in this environment, you can be successful. Things can go right while also pushing yourself extremely hard. And that's kind of where I've positioned myself to be in now, where I want to be coached. I want to work on the things that I'm not as good at. I don't want to hear. I want to hear what I'm good at, but I also want to hear about what I'm not good at, what I need to do better, because that's what's going to get me ultimately to where I want to be.
Nice. And Tom, so I'm a little curious too, because I mean we talk about this, but I love for you to share. Like when you were sitting in the stands, well, actually you weren't sitting in the stands, you were doing our stats with all of the technology that you brought through the iPad, man. How did you feel in seeing two guys coach your son through tough situations and share, maybe a situation that you saw that we were the right fit for your son as a coach?
Well, let me say this first too, as Jacob said, is it's great to be here and honored that you asked us to be a part of it. And one of the things that I love so much about this is through the relationships, through the friendships, you have these different interactions, and it just pulls back another layer of your greatness. So I love what you all are doing, and again, honored to be here. Um, you know, at that time coming into it and working with you, it was scary at the very beginning of where are we going, what are we doing. um, i know these I know these guys, but this is a big step, it's a big change, it's taken a path less traveled for sure. uh, to what Kishara said a few moments ago about the two of you and your ability to be able to work together, and that you maybe didn't have to do as much planning, but you probably really were doing all the planning when you were with Coach Hurley. You just didn't know it. And now you were able to pour it into this group of kids that, I don't know, may have been like it was when you all first were playing in high school, right? You see these kids come together and they didn't even know each other. They probably had to keep asking each other their names for the first practice or two, you know. But then how quickly they came together, how hard you made them work, how honest you were about their strengths and weaknesses, and your ability to be able to turn the dial to get them to reach higher levels was so impressive. And you mentioned another one of the teammates just not too long ago, which reminded me how much every player knew that they had a chance to play every game, depending on how hard they worked in practice. And that was a massive reason as why we made that choice to come, because of that openness and opportunity that you were offering all of the players that loved the game and wanted to play and just wanted a chance, and you gave that to them. So sitting there watching it was a front row seat to greatness, and that maybe sounds a little over exaggerated, but it was so fun to watch and way better than I could have ever given to him.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
So go ahead, bro.
Oh no, go ahead, Kashar. You got it.
So, Tom, I wanted to ask, were there ever any situations where, we may have said something or may have done something with the team that you were like, I don't know if you guys want to do that. Do you remember any of those particular instances, but maybe it might have worked out?
Uh, Maybe one funny one, which would be the time Roshown wasn't able to make it to the game, and he made a decision to let me coach. That was that was a bad idea and a really bad decision. So you want to talk about prepared and unprepared? I was unprepared, and that was a big mistake. But uh, but
I
no,
remember that. I remember that. That was good. Tom was. I thought Tom was gonna lose it.
we had to go up to Raybon County. That was
Oh man.
crazy,
Gosh, wow.
crazy.
Hey, listen, we did that
Kishara
to
wasn't there.
Kashara.
You weren't there.
It was a
Wow.
what was it, Murphy's Law? Well, if it's going to happen, it's going to really happen.
We let it all hang out. We had badness happening everywhere, but fortunately, it was early enough in the season to all be corrected.
So so let's get back over to Jacob, right? So Jacob, coaches all think that they're right, parents all think that they're right, right? So let's start there, right? But what did we teach you that you didn't understand at the time, until later on when it was presented to you again?
It's a great question, because the one thing that I think you guys had shared that really stuck with me, that I would almost answer it in a different way, something that I didn't know coming in that you guys kind of opened my eyes to. I would just boil it down to always hearing respect the game, and whether that's, and with that, I think that can be transitioned to other things in life, whatever you're doing, um, you know, be respectful to that. And when I compare it with basketball, it was like, if we're beating a team and, blowing their brakes off, it's continue to hustle, continue to work hard. Don't think just because you're up by 20, you can start doing the no look passes, the between the legs, like the half court shots. It's, continue to play hard. And I think that's kind of how I would almost um, answer your question without answering your question is, before meeting you guys, um, I don't think I ever really had that thought in my head. It was just like, hey, play to win. And if you can beat a team by a bunch of points and, maybe showboat while you're doing it, that's just what you did because you were kids. But
Right.
I think that little piece is something that you can take. I learned from you guys, but can take into other parts of my life. Is whatever you're going to do, respect the game, respect your work ethic, respect other people in your lives, and that's a good way to kind of go about things when you're faced with a what do you do situation, a fork in the road.
Nah, I appreciate that, man, because that was something we learned from day one. Coach Hurley, I remember we would be up 30 against teams, and he just start throwing guys out. One time, I think it was my sophomore year when I got moved up to varsity, we played with four people up 30. And, he was just like, I got my team on the court, man. So just go, throw the ball out. And it was hilarious because the referee's looking at us like, hey, man, like, I don't think this is legal. But it was a scrimmage, so they let it go. And we won by like 45, even though we were already up 30. So when you respect the game like that, it makes you a better player, regardless of who's on the court. You want to respect your opponents and give them your best, but at the same time, you want to make sure that you're respecting yourself and your skill set. But with that being said, right? Um, tell us a story that you remember. Um, not just you, but well, yeah. So, like, tell us a story about what really changed your thought process and participation, competition at a high level. Tell us a story that helped you recognize what you had gotten yourself into.
Um, there's there's so many. I mean, I think of recognizing what I got myself into. The first story would just be kind of the first scrimmage we had, where you walk into this gym and you're used to seeing, 6'3" is your center, and 6'3" is the guy I'm competing with for the starting spot, and it was 6'8", 6'9" as far as the centers go. But I think that was the first time where I realized, wow, like this is going to be a lot of fun. Where you walk onto the court, and there's very high level games of pickup basketball, and you're looking at these guys saying, "This is going to be my high school team. Like, this is incredible." But I think, to maybe a story to answer your question a little bit further, I recall early on in the season we were doing some summer league games, and I was playing. I think I was even starting. I was playing very well. I was making shots, and then we go off on a family trip, and I think I leave the team for like 2 weeks, and I come back. Was out of conditioning, lost my spot, and the first regular season game comes along, and I don't even play. And it was like, afterwards, I was kind of like, Ro, what the heck? Like, I did all this, and I can't even get court time. Can't even get any burn. And I just remember you being very honest. It was just, Jacob, look, the reality is, you're 150 something pounds, dripping wet, and you're not big enough. You're not strong enough. I want to put you out there, but I also can't put you or the team in a bad situation. And we can get to this later, but that was certainly a wake up call to hear that. But I just remember at that point, I look and say, okay, well, if I have to get bigger and stronger, I will. And over the next couple of months, committed to going to the gym, working out, doing what it was going to take to get that playing time. And then it all starts to come back where you do start to get the burn, you start to get stronger, you can defend the position. So those are just some of the two that came to mind immediately. I'm sure if I sat on it more, I could come up with some other stories.
Tom,
how mad were you at Coach because of that?
I was pissed. I mean, that was first game of the season. It was a big time game, an away game. I certainly had friends and family there, and you have that anticipation, especially to playing well going in, but then leaving, but still thinking, as every kid does, that you're good enough to play and contribute.
So let me ask.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say, just to sit there and watch the clock go down, you're like, gosh, like, this isn't what I thought, but at the same time, like, what can I do to change that?
Was the motivation more so you getting back into the rotation, or was the motivation more of, I'm going to show Coach that, I should have been put right back into the lineup? What was more so of your motivation?
I think it was probably just to play, because I think if I could just play and do my role and execute it, then, the minutes and everything else would come. But I think, at that time, I probably understood that, hey, you just left for this. You've been gone for, I think it was 2 weeks of time. So I think I probably recognized, like, you're not just going to come and walk back into a spot. I still probably thought I was good enough to walk in and contribute and get some playing time. But I think that, to answer your question, is one of those things where it's like, in the moment, you're a 15-year-old kid, you think you're the next big thing. You're like, what the heck? But I think in retrospect, like, that was, I think, even just something I'm proud of, where it's like, okay, you kind of took some medicine, it didn't work out. What are you going to do to change it? And I got the feedback from you from what I needed to do. And to your credit, I did my part and gave you a level of trust and confidence that I can now contribute in these bigger games. And I showed that and was rewarded with being able to play and play more.
Tom, what was your reaction to it? Just looking at it as a dad, you were an assistant coach on the team, like I said, from a stats perspective, seeing, what was happening. Like, what was your response to that? Like, how did you take that, and what was your reaction? What you decide to do?
Yeah, I love that story, because it was one of those next big moments of Jacob's experience. And when you say you do me service, or when you tell me I was an assistant coach, I was getting the towels, I was the water boy, I was whatever, sitting at the end and keeping stats. That first game was an amazing game. That the opponent there were monsters. It was a wake up call for the whole team in different ways. And as Jacob is saying, you're excited, you have family, you have friends that you're there, your kid doesn't play, and you're bummed out. But what I loved about what you did, Roshown, and my recollection of this is, after the game, we're just standing on the court waiting for the team to come out from the locker room, get cleaned up and whatnot. And you went over to Jacob and said to him, Jacob, listen, I wanted to put you in the game. I looked down the bench a couple of times thinking I wanted to put you in there, but I just couldn't do it. I didn't think you were going to be strong enough to defend. I didn't think your shot was going to be quick enough to be able to get it off against this group. And so you got to get quicker. You got to get stronger. So you gave him you told him what he needed to do to get the opportunity. And what I then was impressed with Jacob is, I didn't tell him what to do. he got up and he made a commitment that the next morning he was getting up at 5 a.m. to go to the gym and start doing what he needed to do to be able to earn that opportunity, earn your trust, and make it happen. And again, it's rare, I think, that you can find a situation like what you created, what you and Kishara created, where you gave the kids a chance every single day in practice to earn the opportunity to be a part of the team. It wasn't, you didn't have your five and say that's it. You gave everybody a chance, and you gave everybody a chance to sit on the bench if they didn't respect the game and do what they needed to do for the team. So it was out. It was great. It was great.
No, and I'll share this, man. That team made me a better coach. They really brought out things and where I was able to, like things that I learned as a player, how to transition those into coaching opportunities. Because although I played for some great coaches, their style of coaching wasn't necessarily who I was as a person. It was their foundation that they laid, and me being able to take that foundation and build off of it the way that I wanted to coach. And so for me, I think that's where Kishara and I connected because um, we almost had this mental telepathy of what we wanted to do. I remember one time we came in and we told you guys we weren't going to coach you, or that you guys got to coach yourself because you wasn't listening to us. Like that was a funny moment for
Yeah.
us. And I said, Kashar, just follow my lead. Don't, like just I don't want to tell you ahead of time, but I want you to just follow my lead. So I was like, you guys don't deserve me and Kashar to coach you guys. Since you're not listening, let's do it yourself. We're going to sit over here. We're going to critique, and I'll tell you who's going to play at the end of the game. And it was like the greatest practice we ever had.
Yeah.
I think at that point we went on like an 18-game win streak.
Absolutely.
So, being able to put on those type of performances, because that's what my coaches did. They put on those performances. It gave you guys a motivation to take responsibility and accountability for yourselves. And that's what I learned to do as a person. Kashara and I talk about this all the time, and that's what we tried to make sure that you guys as young men were able to do. So kudos to you, Jacob, to be able to take all that information in and make it work for you. So hearing those stories, man, we know things that don't go our way all the time. So let's talk about you today. Like we transition into your career. What are some of those things that you learned playing? For us, with your dad, like how does that affect your career today? And how you earn and give yourself a chance to take care of your family in your current career.
Yeah, it's a great question. And what I do, so I'm in a sales role at 100% commission. So it's very much a eat what you can kill or bring in an environment. So I think with that, naturally it's good to have that competitive nature to it, just because it's kind of constantly pushing you and driving you to improve your performance. But I think what you guys taught me is just how to look yourself in the mirror and be honest with yourself. If I'm having a bad week or a bad day or a string of lower activity where I'm just not getting the results that I want, I think what I've learned from you guys, from my dad, is just how to like look in the mirror and just have an honest assessment. Okay, well, if it's not working the way I want it to, why is that? And I remember one of you guys told me, like, you can miss a shot. That's okay. Just don't miss the same shot twice. If you clank it off the back the first time, well, you can't clank it off the back the second time. Like make an adjustment and try something new. It's okay to it's okay to fail, but learn from the mistakes and make the adjustments. And I think that's just something that I've learned from both everyone here on the call today growing up, that to be successful in what I'm doing, you need to be honest with yourself, identify what you're not good at, work at that, work to get better at that, know what you're good at, lean into those strengths. And while I'm certainly not where I want to be, I think I'm on the path to that, and as long as I can continue that, it should all work out.
And hey, Tom, like just like we've had we have lunch at our French Toast Atlanta, one of our favorite spots. We talk about everything, man. Like we talk about growing up, we talk about changes, we talk about business, we talk about all those things. Um, what was it like for you to build your family? Like, was it something that you knew, or was it something you were learning? They say flying the plane, building it while you're flying it. Like, give us a little bit of background on some of the things that were tough in your development as a leader, as a leader for your family. What are some of those moments when you hear Jacob talk about his development? What are some of those moments where you kind of question whether or not you were doing the right thing for your own family?
Uh, I am the youngest of seven children. So when I was thinking about today and the things that I learned, and then I wanted to be able to impart to my kids because I didn't read the books, right? If there is a book that tells you how to be a dad, I didn't read it. It wasn't given to me. And being one of seven kids, I mean, there was a lot of discipline in my home growing up, and I thought like I didn't want to give that to the kids. I didn't want them to have all the discipline that I had. So that was another big mistake I made. They didn't have any big chores that they needed to do. So Jacob's learned how to do that now with his fiance. Uh, so, but I definitely we definitely had rules that we had to follow. So I followed those rules even while we were raising the kids. And one of the things that I was told along the way is that the kids will mirror what you do and what you say, and how you say it and how you do it. So in doing what the things that I thought were right most of the time, then through that, uh, Jacob, I would imagine, is watching those things. He also would allow me to play, meaning we'd go to the gym together at all different ages. I used to be able to run up and down the basketball court with them, so we could do that. And in doing that, he was interacting with my friends and seeing how I would interact with them, and he was being mentored and coached by those people and all kinds of things that happen in life. Right? It's not just playing the game itself, but those other activities. So I think with not necessarily having a plan of I need to do this, need to do that, it's just by living, uh, hopefully mostly a well-intentioned life. Then through those actions, he got to see those things too. Um, but I will tell you this: later on, I did see that book, "Make Your Bed," and I
Hmm.
did make sure that he got it, and it sits on his nightstand, and so at least he accomplishes one thing every day for the most part.
So Tom, let me ask you, the way that you brought Jacob up was a number of different things that you did with Jacob. Was it a conscious effort, or was it just, just kind of parenting your way through, day to day, week to week?
Somebody told me somewhere along the way that if you spend time and you're hanging out with your kids at a young age, that they'll think that it's normal as you get older that you're still hanging out with them. And again, by being able to do that, uh, uh, there's that mirroring of what you do and how you do it. How you dress, what you say, how you interact with people, how you care for people, how do you compete, um, and just the different activities and responsibilities. I think are mostly would be mirrored versus intentionally saying do it this way or do it that way.
Awesome.
We gotta, like, perspective is everything, right?
Yeah.
So we hear Tom tell a story. Jacob, was Tom fair? Like, was he fair? Was he demanding? Like, is he telling? Is like this? We hear his side of the story, so we
It's
want to
all
get your
true.
side of the story to make sure we can align these things. So tell us your version of that, man. So the floor is all yours, my friend.
No, I would say everything he shared is true. I didn't think he was ever too demanding or like a sergeant in any way. Now, there was certainly a line, and I think if you cross the line, or if you didn't do your laundry for an extended period of time, you could certainly get him to hit a boiling point. But I would just kind of echo off of what my dad said. Like my experiences or just memories from growing up, I think is just kind of watching his actions, and just seeing how hard he worked. He would take us to like he'd pull us out of school and take us to networking events. I'd see him staying up late and not coming home till 1 or 2 a.m. working on projects. And I think a lot of that showed me that you can accomplish what you want, but it's not enough just to say, well, I'm going to work hard, because everybody can just say that. I think I'm lucky enough to really have seen that, and still to this day see that. I won't date my dad and say how old he is, but he certainly
Listen, he's doing.
could
Hey,
retire.
what you guys doing together? Hey, listen, you guys do a lot of activities together, man, and we'll get into that in a little bit, right?
But I
But
won't. I'm going to get is I won't like he certainly could retire with where he's at of his age, but he's still at it. He's still working hard and still doing it. And I think it's nice to
they say
really
working. He
see.
says working smarter, not harder. That's what I hear Tom say all the time.
That's right. Still 18 on the inside.
There you go.
So,
Yeah,
hey,
exactly.
Tom, now that we got that story, aligned, right? And we know that it's true. Was there ever a time that you looked at Jacob and he was going through a rough time and you just thought, I got to let him get through this himself. I can't show up for him. I got to really just allow him to figure it out on his own.
Um, I wrote this down earlier from some thoughts that, and I know it keeps kind of coming back to the coaching, but Jacob got connected to you between his sophomore and junior years of high school, and that was that one moment where he was. I think we both were struggling with it because I wanted him to enjoy the game and have fun with it, and where he was at, it just wasn't fun and it wasn't going in a good place. And you, the two of you coming together, right? We met at Jay Christopher's for breakfast. It was the
Yeah.
first time I met Coach K, and we talked through it. And you're like, "Hey, I'd like him to come." And then Jacob and I had to go home and sell it to his mother, and that was the best sales job we ever did. I think I'm not sure that we actually sold her as much as she just gave up and gave in. And we walked out of the room and we looked at each other and like, I think she just said we can do this. Like, because it was so far down the road not taken. We went the opposite of the road not taken, or we took the road not taken, and it did make all the difference, because Jacob's now in the career that he's in. He has had so many people, when he decided that he wanted to go and be in the sales role that he's in, tell him that he shouldn't do it. It's too difficult. It's not going to work. You can't make a living from it. Even including me. Like, there was a couple times I'm like, "Hey, dude, maybe you think about doing this." And he was focused and determined to get to where he is, and he's doing really, really well. But it goes back to that time and meeting you all and going through those experiences and understanding that you can choose a path that not everybody does, because most people all want to be over here. very few people that are willing to take that turn. And he learned it in doing that with you, trusting it and getting success from it, and then knowing that he could do it now and what he's doing now. And I see it over and over and over again with him. And one of the nice things for me looking at him is that it's crossed over from being happy for him to admiring what he does.
No, that's great. That is great.
How's that make you feel, Jacob?
No, it makes me feel good, but I can't, as I said earlier, I can't really take any credit. Like he was really the one that I think was laying the foundation. And, probably didn't know, but as he said earlier, like I was always watching. My was always watching, and I think I just have to thank him and multiple people for all of maybe not even the successes, but just where I'm at today, who I am as a person. He certainly played the biggest role in all of that.
Well, with that being said, let me ask you, what traits, did you see in your dad that you would wanted to emulate, or, you want to basically make sure that you have that a part of yourself, that you saw, within your dad? Is there any one particular thing or a couple of things?
I think maybe the one that comes to mind is just who I'm going to say who he is as a person, but I think really it's just his interest in people. And I think one of the biggest things that's rubbed off from him to me is his passion of learning people's personalities and learning how to connect with people, and not in any manipulative way, but more in a way of trying to just figure out how you can connect with someone who may come from a completely different background as you. It doesn't mean that two people can't be good friends or find common ground. And I think that's the one thing that I learned from him that I have a big interest in, and just really enjoy, is meeting someone new, trying to find, what did we do that's common, and then what do we both like, and what can we connect on? Because I think that's just something that he's an expert on, and I've always admired and look forward to, I guess, continuing my learning of.
So now we're going to flip it a little bit, right? Tom, my son Anthony works for you. Like, what was your thought process in, like just bringing him in, and what was your thought process about, because at the time he never listened to anything I said, and I just kind of figured if he came to work for you, you were a smart guy, he would probably listen to you, and we had a lot of things in common. So, what was your thought process in having Anthony come in and work for you? What did you want to teach him? What did you hope that he left with? What was your approach to that?
Yeah, he's a great young man. And in the business that I'm involved in then, and I'm still involved in today, some people come in and it will be their career. This is what they will do, and that's a good thing. And there's other people where they come in and it's a stopover on part of the journey to get to other places they want to go. And for Anthony, it's the latter. He's a really smart young man, and I wanted to be able to understand sort of who he was at the time, where he was at, what he was thinking about and doing, and then where were the places that he may want to go, and then encourage him to be. You all talked earlier about respect the game, and so in our work world, it really was respect the game as well, and the game was the people and how you interact with them, and know that some people, this is their career, this is what they will be doing for the next 20 years. And for you, even though it may be a stopover, learn from them, be caring, be authentic, be real, and then also know that it's not necessarily the place where you're going to end. So let's take advantage of the opportunity to learn and then to be able to launch to the next step. And Anthony was, and I always would always upset me at work if people closed my door, because I just always wanted it to be open. I wanted people to think like, you should be coming in, you should come talk to me. And Anthony always did it. And that's one of the things that I always enjoyed with him, is that when we would come together or he would see me, he would always stop and come in, and we would chat for 15 minutes or so before he went off to do the rest of his day.
Was there anything that you tried to teach Anthony that had nothing to do with the job itself, or any type of life lessons or anything that kind of sticks out in your brain?
Not too long ago, he was transitioning from a role into where he is today. And so with that, because of the sort of the foundation we had built several years ago, he trusted me to call and come visit. And we spent a couple of hours talking about where he is, where he wants to go, and how do you get from this place to this place when you can't run right through the middle of the circle. And you have to have, if you're at 9 o'clock and you want to get to 3 o'clock, what is your plan to get to 10? What's your plan to get to 11 and to 12, and then the 1 and 2 and 3? And in doing that, he could begin to visualize, like, just because you have a dream, it doesn't mean like you can just wake up and be there tomorrow. There's a process you have to follow to get there. And so mapping that out together, I think, gave him a much greater clarity of what he needed to do, but also confidence to know that he could do it. And who were the people he needed to lean on to make that happen. So I think I love that visual of 9 to 3, but it's hard to get there if somebody doesn't help guide you along the way.
Thanks, man. I truly appreciate you spending the time with my son and helping it open the door for us to have better conversations today, because you were able to get through to him when I couldn't. But now we have a very, very strong, sustainable relationship where we learn from each other. And I just want to say thank you for doing that for me as a dad. And Jacob, so let me ask this question, and then I want to get into what marriage is going to be like for you, and what your thought process is on that. And but hearing your dad talk about that, and Anthony was just one of many that he mentored. How did you feel going through all of this, seeing your dad mentor young men and women, and within the business, in life, because he opened the gym for everybody. He had basketballs all the time in the car. So how did that make you feel, seeing your dad pour into other people? Were you ever jealous? Were you frustrated? Give us a little bit of the mind of Jacob during that time period.
Yeah. I don't think I was ever jealous or frustrated. I think I just kind of saw a genuine interest and passion from him to help other people. And I think hearing the story about Anthony and reflecting on other stories, it just reminded me of something my dad would say to me is, no one really ever gets to where they want to go alone. You need help, or you need support. And sometimes, even if it's just someone to talk through an experience or a situation with, and they can bounce ideas. I think he's always been great at that. And I've even set him up with friends of mine who are, need help talking through things. And, I think he's always just been an asset, or just like a reliable person that my friends, colleagues can go to for that kind of help.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Because and it's a reflection of who you are today, man. I really see it. So now let's get into the future.
Mm.
What is your biggest like what's the biggest thing you're anticipating from, in going into marriage? Like, and what, like as a challenge, what is the biggest thing you see yourself being challenged by, having a wife now, not just a fiance, having that full responsibility legally, morally, every way possible. What are you most fearful of, and what are you most happy to be doing as a part of a new family?
I mean, I think that I'll start with what I'm happiest for is, you meet someone who wants the best for you and you want that for them. And I just get so excited by the vision of the future that I want, that she wants, and that we want together. And, I think all of that is just a small part of just why I'm so thankful and fortunate to find the person I have. I think as far as a challenge goes, I think, I still kind of view myself, I'm 28, but I still probably think I'm a kid and closer to 21. So there's certainly, I think just the mental change of going from, the 28-year-old boyfriend to the now 28-year-old husband, now provider, and at some point providing for others. And, I think that's something that, is not necessarily going to be a challenge, but just a change. And I think too, you go from being I'll still be, my mom and dad's son, but now I've got my own wife and my own family. We're going to have our own priorities. So I think too, just with any relationship, you're going to have the challenges of, new family traditions and trying to compromise and do things with both families. But I wouldn't trade any of that, for the world. I'm very excited for this next chapter.
Do you feel as though that you're prepared?
Yeah, yeah. It's funny when we got engaged about a year and a half ago. We'll be getting married in November, and I'm kind of in this position thinking, gosh, why didn't I do this? I've been with my fiance for 7 years. I'm thinking, gosh, why did I wait so long? So I think it's something where, um, you know, maybe guys just don't think about it as much. As you're thinking, hey, this is something I will eventually do, but um, I think I am prepared. I'm excited. I'm just really fortunate in looking forward to kind of starting and creating our own story, our own chapters.
So you said that you're prepared, but let me ask, do you feel as though that there's an aspect or a part of your life, going into the marriage that you feel as though that you still need to kind of work on, or, hey, I still have a little bit of growing up to do?
100%. Yeah. I think that's also probably could be said for at any point in a marriage, but I'm not perfect, and I think where learning from my dad growing up, he was always about, the little things lead to the big things, right? Making your bed, putting the dishes away, doing your laundry. And those are all things that my fiance, values, those acts of service. And when I get home and I'm tired and I'm lazy, those are things that I'll certainly be the first to neglect, or I just want to lay on the couch and watch whatever sports game is on. But I think too, it's learning that, those sacrifices, doing those small things when you really don't want to, you'd much rather sit and just be on your phone. Those are things that you do to show your partner, show the other person, hey, like I'm thinking about you. I still love you. I'm still putting you before me. And, I think those are all things that can just continue to keep a well-maintained relationship.
Tom, what's one piece of advice you would give Jacob going into this next journey of marriage?
Uh, uh, Therapy can be a good thing.
Be a great thing. A great thing.
He has a great person in Sarah that they're a really really good team together. There's a lot of cliches. I think marriage, as in life, is a marathon. It's not a sprint, and there's going to be ups and downs for sure. Communication is a wonderful thing. And I think Jacob's always done a good job about seeking out advice from friends and family and the people on this call. So he's always been really good about here's my situation and what do you think, and what's my move here. So um, I'm going to go with those, but I will say too that one person said to me once upon a time uh, when you do get into a tough spot or you're yelling and screaming with each other is when you do this, it makes me feel this way. When you're able to communicate like that, when you do this, it makes me feel this way. All of a sudden, the person's like, I didn't know it made you feel this way. It's not what I wanted you. It's not what I was trying to make happen. It helps to diffuse, but so I hope that is somewhat helpful. But I feel like you are on a really good path. You are well prepared. You're in a good spot.
That makes all of us proud, just seeing, the hands that we were able to lend in your development, Jacob. So, we are all wishing you, great energy, great future,
Thank
in the
you.
next step, because everybody that's on this screen with you is married. It has been has they got we got double digits in it. Tom married the same your mom twice,
Yeah.
once before you were here. So we love it. We're gonna finish up in one of the built man ways. So Jacob, we're gonna ask you one question and just let us know quickly what you think. What would you tell a warrior who's preparing for marriage?
I would say it's you're making the best decision you'll ever make. But I would say also too, don't expect it to be easy, right? You're hopefully meeting someone who's going to want the best from you, and you want the best from them, and you guys are going to grow together. And with Sarah, like I look forward to, you know, celebrating her highs and picking her up when she's going through her lows. And I would say for someone else in that situation, you'll know when you have the right person if they want the best out of you when things are going great and when things aren't. And just say be true to yourself, love your partner, and it should all work out in the end.
Tom, what would you tell a father raising a teenage son?
Ooh, um, stay close. Play with them every day. Be there. Show up every day. Give your best, and know that your role changes as time changes, and you got to be able to adapt to those changes.
And Kishara, what would you tell a coach who doesn't realize how much influence he has?
Coach as if no one's watching you, but know that everyone is watching. I leave it at that.
Yeah, we totally agree on that one. And
Yes.
I guess I'll take the final word. Mine is simple. I would just say when you become responsible for your community, when you become responsible for your children, when you become responsible for building something from nothing, that's what makes you a king. A king has a court, and the court are the people who depend on you. But you can't have them dependent on you to where they depend on you for life. You have to teach them how to defend what they build in the future, and how to share the responsibility with the people that they want to keep closest to them. So that's what I would share as a final thought. And tonight, I just want to say thank you. All of this is a full circle moment for us, because this started. Jacob's 28 years old at about 15 years old. Like I said, and I'll say it like started in the beginning when he called me a poser. And we'll have to tell you that story another time. But it was the funniest thing in the world. But we just want to say thank you for tuning in. Hopefully you were able to find some gems that were close to your heart, that you can make better choices, decisions, share with people who are close to you. And I'll give each one of these gentlemen a last word before we get out of here. And thank you again for joining us on our broadcast of Built Men. We'll start with Tom, work our way from Jacob, and end with Kishara.
One last thank you for bringing us together and giving us this opportunity. One last thing for it is, when you come home at the end of the day, when you're talking about raising teenage kids, is that play is before you go in the door, go shoot a basket with them, go see how their day is, check in before you check out.
Jacob?
I'm going to say something I heard from the old team days. I think it was Jesse who coined this, but it's a great term. The man who says I can and the man who says I can't are both correct.
Kishara?
Awesome. Mine, hey, Tom, I appreciate you allowing us to coach your son. Jacob, I appreciate you allowing us to coach you. And Ro, always appreciative of the opportunities that you provide myself and everyone else that's around you. So mine is just gratitude. Thanks to everyone.
Here, here.
And this is Built Men, built, not born, protect, provide, lead, and do it in love. Thank you, and